If you are, everybody hit the flow. If you are,
Well, hello everybody. It's time to talk to you about sleep.
rock the club tonight. Who wanna make the party hot?
Hi, my name is Dr. John Lucio. I practice integrative medicine and pain management in Jefferson City, Missouri. This is my wife.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Sue. I practice conventional gynecology and integrative medicine. 8 tips to help you get a great night's sleep. At the very end, we're going to talk about common supplements, some botanicals they can also implement as well. If you've never joined us before, we upload about 1 to 2 videos a week about medical topics that we approach from an integrative medicine perspective. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the notification bell so you know when we've uploaded a new video.
First of all, I want to say before we start that if you do have chronic issues with sleep, deprivation or insomnia, you really should contact your physician because there are some disease states that actually impair your ability to sleep. Things like anxiety, depression, restless leg syndrome, obstructive sleep apnea, bad heartburn can also conditions that can be treated by your family doctor, and they really should be addressed before you start trying to treat yourself, especially if this has been a chronic problem. Also, it's important to know that it really should be treated because those people that have sleep issues or chronic insomnia are increased risk for cardiovascular disease, including hypertension and some cancers, and increasing your depression and your anxiety as well. Chronic insomnia also predisposed to diabetes and obesity.
I've also noticed when I don't get a good night's sleep, I'll eat more starches, sugars, carbs. So insomnia does lead to that. Also, insomnia leads to brain fog and inflammation.
And overall crankiness.
So let's start with the first of 8 strategies for you to get a good night's sleep. All of us are used to patterns and we're all used to ceremonies. So if you can turn your awakening time into a ritual as well as your sleeping time into a ritual, it really does help. So when you wake up in the morning, you do want to ritualize it. Always kind of wake up and sleep at the same times every day, even on the weekends. In the mornings, you want to pick a ritual that's enjoyable and energizing, and then you're going to want to do something soothing and simple to do at night. During the day, you want to also make sure that you do a lot of breath work and meditation and allow yourself in those ways to rest during the day.
Point number 2 of the 8 strategies to get a good night's sleep is getting towards the end of the day. You don't keep introducing artificial light into your environment, especially when you're getting near your sleep time. Make sure you reduce the amount of blue light that you use.
So blue light is what comes out of like computers, iPads,
sets, yeah.
TVs. That's right, TVs. Yeah. I forget about TVs and our iPhones. I'll actually put my iPhone upside down because even though your eyes are shut, you get some of that blue light through your eyelids.
The other thing you can do too is develop a kind of a bridge period between the time you decide to go to sleep to the time you actually get to bed. And that can be either by meditation or journaling or something, just something to just kind of ramp you down from the day and help you relax.
Like journaling. I'm glad you brought that up because journaling is so important. What you can do is you can put any troubling thoughts that you're having down on paper. You can put any plans that you're thinking about for the rest of the day so you're not having mind noise. Mind noise is where you're anxious about certain thoughts or you're thinking about or obsessing about certain thoughts. On that note, we're going to go into the third of the 8 ways for you to get a serene night's sleep. There's 3 types of noises. There's body noise, mind noise, and bed noise. Bed noise would be making a good environment for sleep. Mind noise would be what we just talked about, like calming down the anxious thoughts. Body noise is how we want to limit things like addressing caffeine, alcohol, and medications that we might be taking. So ask your doctor or check, are any of your medications causing you to have trouble sleeping? You also want to just look at caffeine. Caffeine has an average half-life that varies between 4 hours up to sometimes 12 to 16 hours for some people. I know I can drink caffeine just before I go to bed, no problems. Some people, if they do that, they will be awake a long time. You would be awake a long time. You have to know yourself. The safest thing to do is to limit your coffee intake from the morning time and on. So you can have your first cup, but they've even done studies and found that 1 cup or 2 cups of coffee in the morning will still have, I think it's 25 to 50 milligrams of caffeine by bedtime. So in those people, the half-life of caffeine is very, very long. A half time is the amount of time it takes for that caffeine to be cut in half in your bloodstream. So even though you may have drank that coffee early in the morning, you might still be having residual effects later on at night that are keeping you from falling asleep. And the other things you want to look for is alcohol. Alcohol is best drank earlier in the day with food. And we know that all of you do like a nightcap, which means you're going to drink some wine or some alcohol to help you sleep. Actually, that doesn't help at all and ends up inhibiting sleep. So it's better to drink alcohol early in the day with food. And the other problematic foods you want to try to avoid are counterfeit energies. Counterfeit energies are the caffeine we talked about, sugary stimulants, and adrenaline, which would be, adrenaline is like when we do something counterfeit to get ourselves awake, whether it's watching a scary movie or reading a scary book. We want to try to avoid those things.
For 4 out of the 8 topics to help get you a good night's sleep is number 1, certain things you can do in your bedroom itself that are conducive to restful sleep. One includes decreasing the temperature in that room. 68 to 70 degrees seems to be the ideal temperature that we've been able to find in the literature.
He's really happy about that because when I first married him, I grew up in a family that we slept at 78 degrees, and I married him and I was freezing, and come to find out, he was right.
Yeah. Thing is make sure that you do everything you can to make your bedroom into kind of a green bedroom. In other words, put more plants in the area. Things that are more inviting are very helpful as well.
Can I also say something? With a green environment, you want to try to limit the amounts of plastics in your bedroom. And it can get really expensive, so you don't want to go all out changing everything all at once, but you want to get rid of any plastic hampers, any plastic trash cans, and change them into natural wood or bamboo is best. And in terms of the bed sheets, the cotton bed sheets, if you can at all, try to change them into bamboo sheets, because cotton is a plant that we spray with pesticides, and those pesticides actually get into our cotton sheets, and when we do that, that will disturb our sleep as well.
Next thing too is make sure you don't have the light of digital devices like clocks next to your head, especially if you're not wearing eye patches. That could also affect your ability to get a good night's sleep.
They actually make eye patches online that actually block blue light. So if you are living in an area where there's constantly computer screens on, or you're in the hospital and you've got the monitor from the computers at the hospital on, you might want to invest in one of those.
Next thing is make sure that your environment is safe. Jennifer, when I'm not home, tends to worry about the security in the house, and we did actually put an alarm system in, and that seemed to make her a little bit more comfortable.
Now let's go to the 5th of the 8 things that you can do to get a good serene sleep. We have to get rid of the notion of going to sleep. We really need to change it into letting go of being awake, because we really don't go to sleep. We're letting go of being awake. And you want to avoid knockout drugs, like these are sleeping aids, Benadryl, things that decrease REM sleep. REM sleep is rapid eye movement sleep. You know that when you use Benadryl, you're just getting knocked out. You don't get a restful sleep. And what Benadryl does, this is diphenhydramine, what it does, it actually prevents REM sleep. And when you don't get REM sleep, you don't get rest and you don't dream, and dreams are really important to prevent depression.
The other thing too is some of the prescription medications that are out there to help you sleep have significant side effects. There's also issues with tolerance to these medications. That is, the longer you take them, the more you need to take them in order to get the desired effect. There's also issues with hangover the next morning, and they just don't seem to work as time goes on. And oftentimes you'll find that doctors will have to switch the type of medications that people are taking to get the desired effect. And they also interfere with some of the other medications that you're taking. There are much safer and more gentle ways to actually get a good night's sleep.
And he's going to talk about that at the very end, so make sure you stay till the end of the video.
Item number 6, to help you get a serene sleep. I'm guilty of this because I get very frustrated when I get woken up in the middle of the night and I can't get back to sleep. The first thing you can do is don't keep watching the clock. That's probably the worst thing that happens with people, and they get very frustrated. Number two, if you find that you are awake at night in bed, get out of bed and go sit someplace that's comfortable and see if you can wait there and try to relax and wait until actually sleep comes to you. The next thing is, before you go to bed, don't go to bed if you're not sleepy. It sounds like a very common sense thing to do, but sometimes there's some days you just not sleep at the normal hour that you normally go to bed. It's okay to just wait a little bit and see if you will naturally get sleep will come to you.
Just like what he's emphasizing, you want your bed to only be used for two things. So there's just two things that you want to use the bed for. It's sleeping and sex. We're ready to cover the seventh thing you can do to get a good, serene sleep. In the morning, explore your grogginess. When you wake up, let the light slowly enter your eyes and just be mindful of how you want to set the tone for the day. Allow yourself to have at least 20 minutes of direct sunlight in the mornings and try to recall your dreams and put it in the journal. This is amazing to explore your dreams. And on the other hand, if you don't sleep because you have terrible nightmares, this helps too to journal and to work through the scary dreams you have. And if you have great dreams, you'll want to recall, because dreaming really does help depression.
Last but not least, number 8, to help you get a good night's sleep. And they include things like chamomile, lavender, lemon balm, ashwagandha. All those have a role in terms of helping you relax and decrease your anxiety, and also help you get to sleep. There are some supplements that are out there that are being talked about. One includes melatonin. Melatonin, of course, is the natural hormone we have in our body that actually induces sleep and is very important. As we get older, this hormone tends to decrease, so sometimes we actually need to supplement it. Now, when we do supplement it, a couple things I want to mention is that really you don't need a big dose, anywhere from 0.5 to 1 milligram at night, and if possible, use an extended release preparation. The reason for this is that melatonin has a very short half-life. It does help you get to sleep, but not necessarily keep you asleep unless you get the extended release formulation. Something else out there too that we came across and one of our friends asked us to talk about was phosphatidylserine. That is a substance that keeps the fluidity of our normal cells that we have in our body. And what it does is it is involved in what is called a methylation reaction that helps increase serotonin, which then is a precursor to melatonin. So it's a very indirect way to get to melatonin. Also, too, it actually helps decrease cortisol levels, so you had a very high stress state. That is also a good reason. That's also something else you might use, but to us it's not. It seems to be like a very indirect way to get to the final pathway where you want to go. Some of the other supplements that have been used out there, tryptophan, which is found, as everybody knows, is in turkey dinners, and everybody gets why you get sleepy after eating that.
Thanksgiving, everyone's asleep after Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. One other is something called valerian root. Now, I tend to use valerian root in my patients who have tried melatonin, and either they get night terrors from it or it just simply doesn't work as well as they'd like it to. Valerian root's very interesting. You do need to actually be on it for a couple to 3 weeks actually before you start seeing the effects, so you have to be very patient with it. Next item I want to include is hops. Of course, that's in beer, which, thank goodness, yeah. It does help to actually induce sleep, and you can actually buy it as a supplement. I want to mention something about hops. Hops is contained in beer, and it can be used at dinner time to help you relax. We do not recommend using it in excess, obviously. It can be purchased as a supplement, and you don't necessarily have to drink beer in order to get the hops.
And you'll find valerian root and hops oftentimes in the same preparation as a mix, because valerian root helps you fall asleep and hops keeps you asleep.
The last thing I want to talk about is the use of cannabis in helping people sleep. Now, a lot of my patients swear by the stuff, but I can tell you when I looked at the studies, they're mixed at best. Some do not show any benefit at all. Others show that there is some, and you really have to, if you're going to use it, make sure you're in a state that it's legal. Stay tuned. In a couple of months, we're going to devote an entire segment to cannabis. Everybody, that concludes our segment today. Next week, we're going to be talking about anxiety and panic disorder.
And then midweek, for your little special extra treat, we're going to be talking about laughter therapy. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, we hope you do so. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
Goodbye, everybody.
Slide to the left, work it around. Now pop your chest. Now break it down. Now break it down. Everybody get up out your seat.